you, and good afternoon. I was thinking how the session was going in the morning. One wasn't sure whether we'll be on time was a question, but I wasn't sure who'll be in time. Back now, looks like some of you have that I know, always. And what was the question was, after all the internationalization, after all the ranking, after all the growth possibilities, India and multiple other things, I wasn't sure if people are going to be concerned about the student. And the topic that Digii100 has brought to us is to ensure that we remember. Everybody talks about the demographic dividend in the number perspective, but not necessarily what is happening in it. So this session primarily is about trying to understand the student genome. Hi, actually. So we are here trying to figure out a few things. I'm going to take a few minutes to set the context, and we have a fantastic panel of people with very, very different experiences, and I don't think we will have different standpoints, so this is not going to be fireside at all. This is, I think, going to be one-sided. But in that one side, I think we have different experiences coming from different levels of institutions, different geographies, different age standpoints, and different ways we are dealing. I think that's where we are as a panel together. I'm excited to do this. Thanks to Hemant for recognizing this topic, and I think this is very, very important for us to do. So how we'll structure this, I see 38 minutes, 22 seconds in front of me. We got cut 10 minutes from 50 to 40. So what we will do is I'm going to talk for about 3 to 5 minutes setting the context. Each of our panelists will talk for about 2 to 3 minutes with giving their context or standpoints in this topic. Then I have a question each, and then we will sort of co-create you into this conversation. Whoever has a point, my only request is, since our time is short, very, very short questions, as much as possible short answers, so that we can cover most things. You know, when you look at this new student genome, and you know why we have to use words like genome and other things to make sure it looks cool, it looks conferencey, and it feels extremely modern. But I have straightforward about 10 points that I want to talk about. The demographic reality: never in the planet before, and I think never after, the world will see one certain geography with so many young people together. I know China was there, but we will race that, we are racing it, and never after, I think, in sort of living history, we will see this population. And India, in one land, we will never see this. Do we understand this reality? We keep talking about it, and if you look at statistics very differently, we add into the workforce of what Eastern Europe, one country, has as a whole population. Do we understand what is happening to that demographic reality is something that we should talk about. The connectivity revolution. Do we even understand that these kids of today were born connected? They understand digital in a very different realm. For many of us, I think digital was something that we are excited by, we use, but we were not born into that reality in a fully connected thing. The third aspect I want to talk about, the transformation happening in school education in India. Across India, phenomenal transformation in curriculum, the quality of teachers, infrastructure, and the experiential learning. Even in the most sort of rural or disconnected places, it's slightly getting better. In the more urban or the more connected spaces, is vastly transforming. Do we understand that school has transformed phenomenally is something that we have to keep in mind. The fourth point, the changing Indian family and society context. Now, depends on what age vintage each one of us are. We were blessed with a very different reality, and we can't assume that our construct of family and society is the best, because the maximum of young Indians are coming from a different context, right? And that construct is, you can call it nuclear, you can call it so many other things, but never before both parents have been working, never before both parents have moved from different cities into a new city, never before they're living in a completely new social, cultural setting like never before. A fully digital generation, when I say digital, some of us, I remember a STD call. I remember multiple other things. I remember a post office, and now last week I saw a Gen Z post office coming in India to make it exciting for Gen Z. But a digital generation like never before, and I would say in some cases even more than some developed countries, because the OTP reality of what happens. If I last time I went to Germany and I was telling them that I get an OTP for every transaction, the guy at the Marriott thought India was like a wow place. He said, how did they even figure that out? Every day we are fighting issues. So the digital reality is there. AI and knowledge has been sort of open sourced after Britannica started printing the encyclopedia. Because before that, whoever could buy the Britannica and those fantastic leather bound, that house was illustrious, was wealthy, was aware and elite. But today, Google has, I don't know, trillion pages more than anything else was ever printed. And AI is co-piloting learning to another level. Yesterday day before yesterday I saw in our institution a student was working on he said, I'm taking a break, and where was the break? On ChatGPT. And what is the prompt? Roast me. And my God, it roasts you like, I don't know what. I'm very scared to do it because I don't want to know how much it knows me. So we are not sure that whether we understand it. The cognitive strength, because of their awareness, is phenomenal, but also their fragility. How fragile sometimes they are because they've got it too soon. They are very aware. They know everything at the fingertips, or they can access it. Is phenomenal. The cognitive abilities are different, but they're also fragile. The ninth point, which was touched again in the morning at some points, is India has 3 learner realities. Somebody who is disadvantaged, somebody who's aspirational, somebody who's elite, equal to anybody else in the world. All of us have to meet all those 3 realities. Financial points, exposure points, parental expectations, and the student exposure. All 3 of them. On the other side, all 3 of them have the same access to the meta platforms. They aspire differently and together. The last most important also is blurring of domains. Now all of us think, including till I don't know when, the UGCs of the world and the multiple forums of the world think of it as engineering or liberal arts or multiple things. Kids don't think like that. And Elon just reminded us 2 weeks ago on an Indian podcast to Nikhil Kamath that he said, why go to college? If you go to college, you would go to peer learn and have fun. But even if you decide to learn broad set of things. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's the student genome of what it is. While all of us grown-ups in positions are trying to figure out how to make ourselves successful, how to make ourselves relevant, they are in another planet. And I have a fantastic panel, and I'm going to give you the scoop. The illustrious teacher right next to me, on the left of me, just said, they are children and they are right. Even before the conversation, she will speak about it. I just want you to think about this topic as something not futuristic, but today. But the future is only for people who accept reality. And the student genome is our greatest strength. If demographics advantage is our strength, and if India is still not Nepal, Sri Lanka, or Bangladesh, then you should know where do we have to spend our time, and how do we have to relate to our youth. So this is where we are, and this is a very important topic for this context. And now I'm going to invite each one of our panelists to talk about 3 minutes, and we have a fantastic panel, as I said. But first, let me go to somebody who, compared to all of us, I have also taught some at 1 or 2 years in my life, but I'm sure each one of us are working to build that awareness. But I'm going to somebody who's a teacher, who's also a mother, but somebody who runs a very large institution ecosystem, has a lifelong experience, somebody who has a deep feeling about what we're going to talk, while she's contemporary in all the things of technology, growth, internationalization, and multiple other things. Dr. Madhu, this is your time to tell us where we are in the student genome ecosystem.
Shankar, I am not trapped with very smart guys, the only lady sitting here. And first question I want to ask that, who took this as a topic? Who gave this genome and something like this? Who you gave, or Hemant?
I gave the idea, Hemant came with the English.
So I have to talk to him that the age of you have to see that these words are Generation Z words, right? In our times, it was not there. So just coming to the point, and first of all, I'm thankful to Digi for making all of us here. Now see the difference here. It's a smart panel. I'm so thankful to Shankar that you will be able to manage all of us. With my age, with the Meghdut age, with yours age, and both of them. So it's a different experiences all of us are setting, and it's good for us. And we all have to talk about the learners, right? I think the whole day, and yesterday also there was a happiness conference. You were also, I think, there. There also we never talked about, and I was just talking to Shankar that why we all are sitting here, why we all are talking about the technology, why we all are talking about that we have to do this and the students are becoming digital, and it means we are scared of it. It means the students have become our teachers, they are guru now, and we have to learn from them. I think now it's a reverse cycle. My journey of education is 5 decades, 50 years. I exactly started teaching in 75. Now it's almost 50 years teaching. I started with when there was no technology. Even the phones were not there. When I did PhD there at that time, there was a NEP. Again, that was NEP 32, 35 years back. And they said that now it will be computer assisted instructions. There will be a teacher, which is computer. And then we were very scared of it, that now there will be no jobs. Because I taught P2P, the primary to PhD. So I started my journey as a school teacher and then guided the PhD students also. So it was a long journey, 50 years. I've seen the world changing. Now see my problem, that I have to talk to him, then I have to talk to Shankar also, and then I have to talk to my grandkids. So now see the change, that how flexible we all have to become, and we are not able to understand that it's not their fault. Because the world is like this, they are addicted to technology, they want to work like that. So now we are not the teachers like when we teach. It was a two-part method. And what we used to say, MBD books, आपको पता नहीं आपके time पे था या नहीं, teachers लेके आते थे MBD, and they say that now I'm saying this, it was one-way traffic from teacher to taught. And then slowly it became, I think 80s में, then it became two-way. So we started listening to students. So it was a, I think, great thing from the guru, that they started listening to the student, that yes, what are your problems? Before that, we were not able to talk to our teachers. I will give you one very smart example. There was two words, weak and weak. I'm coming to technology, that how it started, because I have seen those 5 decades. There are 2 words, weak and weak. One is V-E-A-K and one is W-E-A-K and one is W-E-E-K, right? So when I was a student, I was always confused that ये weak हफ्ते वाला लिखना है या कमज़ोर वाला लिखना है. So I was very blunt child, and I was very truant also. So I went to my teacher and said, Miss Rikor was there, and I'm a teacher from a government, I'm a school student from a Delhi government school with 12 paise of fees. And then I went to her and then said that, ma'am, ये मुझे नहीं समझ आता कि कब मुझे weak use करना है. So I got one first class slap. And she said कि इतना भी नहीं पता चलता, तू बहुत नालायक है, चल क्लास से बाहर. So I wanted always that she should say that I should be out of the class. So that was good for me. But slowly, what I said, that I have to learn. Now what students are doing, that the teachers are not knowing anything which we want to learn, and they are not listening to us. Again, the station has same, because we are so scared of if you start flip classroom you start, 90% of teachers will say, "Nee, ma'am, रहने दो, we will manage." Reason being that in flip classrooms or in that system, you will say that you can throw any questions to us, we are ready to answer. But we are not ready. Because they know so much of technology, and it's a real fact. So how I learned, I said that double E can't be kamzor. कोई चीज़ double है, so it can't be weak, it can't be कमज़ोर. So I then understood that with W double EK, it will be not that week, it will be the hafta week. So it should have been done by the teacher. But I did that. So now students are, what they are doing is they come to us, and normally I have seen, they come to the teachers and they say that 60 minutes, no, it's not done, because after 6 minutes they are multitasker. So they will be seeing the mobile also, and then something about your style of teaching they will put on the media, and then there will be the memes of you. And every teacher should know that there are many memes of yours, reels are there, which are made by the students. Now what we have to do? So all of you, I will just tell this story afterwards, because I want to have this as a story session, because it's not, we should not be very serious about it. I have seen that journey, and then there came COBOL, Pascal, Photon. So I did my PhD, I'm a mathematics teacher and I'm a mathematics student, hardcore mathematician. So I did PhD, and all the data was compiled by me, and then when the things were done, no computers were there. That was IBM, the big machine, where we punched the data, and after punching my data, the person said कि बेटा दोबारा डाल दे इसमें, तेरी तो probability minus में आ रही है. Then again it took me 2 months to again punch the data, right? So that was the technology. Then Photon, COBOL, Pascal, we did that, and I was trained for that. Then national policy. So now you see the change. We have seen all the changes, but now we as a teacher, I am also a teacher, you are also a teacher, but we as a teacher not able to understand that they are very, very far away. What Meghdut knows, I will not able to. Now if I have to change my mobile from 1 to 2nd, so I have to go either to my grandson or granddaughter, or to Misha ji sitting here, that you must be knowing the technology, and he will put both the mobiles, old and the new one together, and he will say that don't worry, abhi मैंने बोला eSIM कहाँ से आएगा, कुछ नहीं, मैं उसी से command ले लूँगा. So he get the OTP also and eSIM also. Now this, we are not able to understand that how flexible we have to become. And now I will give you some lines which we all should follow. And if you will say, I will give you. We are the educators. What the role is changed. And it's a very good role given to us. We were the content owners. We were having the content. We have become now the learning architects. Beautiful lines I got from somewhere. We were the knowledge deliverers. We were giving only the knowledge, and because we were the guru and they were the shishyas. Now, but we have become the mentors and the curators. Very different role, but very difficult role. अगर कोई आसान सा टीचर को पूछेगा, now we don't have to prepare the notes, right? Because now we don't have to give the content. But it's more difficult than that. The fourth one is from fixed curriculum, APGs, to dynamic data-informed learning journeys. It's all journeys which is from learning they are unable to understand. And the last, very important for officers, from rigidity, which we are. You have to introspect yourself, we all are very rigid. To experimentation and iteration. So I think these are our roles now as a teacher, which if we all should do, it will be done.
It's amazing. I remember a quick anecdote when Japan constantly went through earthquakes, but then it had a tsunami, and all the young people had decided that without charging their phones, they could not live. And then it took, and Japan had 90, 100-year-olds to the maximum, and one of them came and said, we saw more and we lived on. When we rebuild Japan, don't worry. You'll get the power in 2 days. So I think you reminded us that when you look at yourself as a learner and you keep the child in mind, these are not problems to keep in. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll go to my right. There is a feeling that for all of us, or many of us, that IIT Madras is a lighthouse of many sorts, many things. But I think the learner transforming is also for IIT Madras. And if the top of the learners are going to IIT Madras in a context, And it's for some of you who've been there, or many of you who haven't been there, it's truly a forest, and there are many species amongst humans too, and it's a phenomenal ecosystem where innovation happens, but the challenges are still there too, I'm sure. And when I was, and I just asked Perplexity, Professor Pratap Haridas, what do I say? And it says, a rare professor who can explain carbon nanotubes, design fuel cells, and still make you feel real superpower is turning physics of materials into a binge-worthy series. So, and it also says, from publicly available sources, looks like he likes to mentor students, look at innovative pedagogy and academics, and also wanting to do inter-domain aspects. So, Professor, from your perspective, the genome of the student coming as a teacher from IIT Madras, what do you see as the transformative experience, and what are the realities and any experiences?
Thank you so much. For I think there are two words that I will mention, which I will touch upon, which will provide the context for much of what I'm going to say. One is freedom, the other is diversity. I think the current generation seeks a lot of freedom in how they wish to learn, and this is way more than what I think many of us sought. So if we did something which was not exactly what we wanted, we accommodated it, we did it, and we kept moving. The present generation, I find increasingly they find it tough to do that. They put their heart into something that they really like, and if it is not exactly the way they want, they are unable to handle it maybe the way we did it. This is all I'll say, and that's good in some ways. We are because we are also now in a position to provide them with the ability to exercise their freedom. I think in those days, even if we wanted to do something else, I don't think we had choice. We were restricted to whatever it is that circumstances created for us, in addition to what our efforts directed us towards. But today, I think we are in a position to provide the choice. So from a teaching learning perspective, from a teaching community perspective, I think one of the greatest things we can do for our student community is to provide that choice. Give them more and more options to weave their path through education, as opposed to have rigid silos, which is how we have traditionally had our education. So at IIT Madras, that's one of the things that we have tried to do through many of our programs, both in campus as well as off campus. The other thing that I wanted to touch upon briefly, because we're short on time, is the diversity aspect, and we can discuss both of these later. In the learning community, both in the campus as well as the learning community that we are accessing outside of the campus, there's amazing diversity. India continues to amaze each of us. If the minute you start looking at what we have in our nation, it's just unbelievable what we have. So in many of our programs now, we have in the form of in our interest to provide the freedom, we have removed all age barriers. So some of our programs have students from 17 years old all the way up to 82 years old. There are CEOs, a lot of different people are there in some of our programs. So this is a diversity of a different kind, in addition to the economic diversity and locational, geographical diversity with which we have our students. And so this is also something that we have to address. So we actually no longer call them students, we call them learners, because I thought that seemed like a more appropriate term for 17 to 82 demographic. And the learning interest is also very high, especially once you provide the freedom. You'd be amazed at how many people are just learning for the sheer joy of learning. If you ask them, why are you doing this course, they don't have a clear answer. They're not going to tell you, tomorrow I'm going to get a pay raise due to it or what. They're just learning for the fun of it, really enjoying the learning. And so I think those are things that we have to enable in our educational processes wherever possible.
Thank you so much, Professor. I'm going to move to my left, and listening to somebody with experience, but then I'm going to go to Meghdut, my friend, who I think gives a complex to Gen Z and beyond, right? So if any of you follow his Instagram page and all the things that he does and wants to do and is always excited by doing, you know that he's figured that out. But apart from the hat of being this experiential person wanting to experience many things, he also works in the institution built by his family, and they have 100,000 students, right? Meghdut, I want you to talk about how do you also wear a hat of somebody being in governance, but somebody who quintessentially is almost being that student genome person. right? How do you see that? How do you create it? And also from a societal perspective, not only from a Techno India perspective, because you're somebody who's doing more than just in your institution. So it'll be interesting to know your take on the topic as somebody in governance and in society.
Trust Shankar to completely befuddle you before you speak and ask a question so layered that it would take an entire podcast, which I would have loved to do at some point with you. Sit down and go really deep in. I think, and you were talking about the Elon Musk and Nikhil Kamath podcast. I think he didn't do justice, and I think Nikhil didn't do justice. Nikhil was like he was so starstruck by Elon the whole time. He was just fidgeting his hands. And I've seen Nikhil host really good podcasts. I think he's a great presence. He understands the world. He's got great pattern recognition skills. And yet, because he was Elon Musk in front of him, he acted like a schoolboy. And he asked questions like he was starstruck seeing Amitabh Bachchan in front of him for the first time. And I think it was not as engaging as it could have been. And it was such a waste, because having an opportunity like that to speak to somebody else, could have done so much more. Anyway, coming back to the topic, I digress. Shankar is somebody who truly sees the world for what it is and sees the world for pursuits that are not necessarily linked to our jobs. And I find that fascinating about you. I've learned a lot by following you and your persona on social media as well, because you look at the world from the lens of how it's shaped by art, by culture, by tradition, and how it can be woven into the format of education that we are looking to do now, which is a format which is experiential, which is a format where the students, again, as Sarah was mentioning, they are learners and they are not just students, because of course they're exposed to so much more information. That information is not the thing that they are looking for anymore. They have more information than any of us ever have had, and all in one place. So then how do we help them sort and sift through that information? Perhaps gets very easy. It becomes the most important thing. I hire a whole bunch of young people. In my office, the average age of what I call my ninja team, which actually runs the group, is like 25 years old. And something very interesting happened last week. They had requested me a few months ago that they wanted to have a separate office in this fun experiential learning center that I have called Offbeat. And I never went into that office. They had gotten an approval for it. They had built their office. I go into the office on a whim the other night, and I go in and I see that this entire office is filled with toys, okay? And this is like plushies and Hot Wheels and like stuffed toys. And this is like a bunch of 22 to 26-year-olds who were there. And my first question was, do these guys use computers to learn, or what is going on here? So I shot a video of them, that entire office with a bunch of toys, and I put it on the internet. And I was like, guys, have I made a mistake hiring a whole bunch of Gen Zs? What's going on? And then the comments were very funny. They were like, these are our emotional support toys, right? The world is absurd. All known social structures are falling apart. Hence, stop hating on us for using emotional support toys. I was like, I never thought about it this way, honestly. Such a different way of looking at the world. These people are also very impact and purpose driven. If we have to truly decode the genome of the Gen Zs, I think we were having a conversation with Mahesh last night around dinner, and Mahesh said something fantastic. I loved it. He said, my son was working at my company. He was a product engineer. He was doing really well educated, getting decently paid. All the people in my office loved working with him. And yet, on a whim, one day he told me that, hey, I want to move to the Andamans and become a scuba diving expert, a scuba diving instructor, at a fifth of the salary. And of course he did that, because it just makes most sense. It's Gen Z. They don't do things because they are supposed to do it. They do things because they want to do it. And up and until we as educators realize that, our educational ecosystems are not going to be filled in with people who want to be there. They will be there because their parents want them to be there. They'll be there because their parents feel like, oh, it's good, our kids need to get some degrees and some kind of formal education. If I have to decode a Gen Z's mind, think of it like a multi-browser, multi-tab browser that's open. They use one tab to look for identity. They look for another tab where they are going in for activism, one for connection, and then they'll of course have the comment section of Instagram and Reddit to cross-verify whether all the things that they've figured out before, if it makes sense, and they can integrate that into their lives. And it's all happening in tandem, in parallel, because they are able to, because they're all digital natives. I mean, I'm also, I think, fairly close to that. I mean, I am millennial. I am millennial, but I understand them. I understand that language. I am so sorry. Madhu Aunty is making me feel, I am sorry. But I really do enjoy it, This is something that makes me so happy that because in our group, we have about 100,000 students. Now, for them, when they see a leader, so as to speak, who is relatable to them, it just increases their effectiveness. They want to come back and work with me. They come out and reach out to me for random things. Like, I'll open my Instagram and like 10 kids have been like, oh, I'm really struggling with like my girlfriend or boyfriend. And then I would also sometimes, if I have free time, I'll humor them. I'll be like, hey, tell me more. And they'll be like, yeah, I have never met them. They exist online, but I am having an issue with them. Like, of course you're having an issue with them. They exist on the internet. It's not a real person. Do you know it's a real person? No, we know it's a real person, but the whole relationship exists online. So I'm saying we are faced with a very interesting time. It's not just a generation, it's more of an interface almost. And they're looking at education as a series of upgrades because they've only played games. They've played Roblox. They know that the next thing that they can do, whether it's a costume or a new weapon, it's all an upgrade. So they're also looking at education as a series of upgrades. And if we as educators are able to provide that to us, good luck to us. We're going to do very well. If not, they are the ones they're going to be sitting on the other side of the table very soon.
I'm not sure if any of the discussion the whole day was looking at education as upgrades as yet, but I think we have started thinking 5 to 10% about it, but the fastness of change in India has to be so phenomenal to even meet a percentage of what you're saying. And what's also interesting about India is the kid in the smallest village and the kid, say, sitting in Delhi, even though the degrees of economic and access is different, but communication, internet, and the ability to aspire through social media is almost the same. That's why you're seeing influencers coming from everywhere with content and people are adding stuff. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I will not reiterate on that.
I'm not sure how to bring in a last panel member when a lot of it is said. We have Akshay who's joined us from an institution coming from an industrial legacy. Who has an understanding about reality, and I was going to say an example of how if Toyota had a raw material problem, they won't complain about the raw material, they'll fix the process, right? They don't complain about saying, hey, steel, this has happened. They will innovate and say they'll have a new process. Industry has always looked at market with an open eye because that's how you respond with products. And that has a DNA coming, but in an educational institution, as a young person, how do you see this reality and what are your thoughts and visions?
Thank you. I think both industry and academia are struggling with this generation. When I look at it, there's a tectonic shift happening. The change which is happening for students, whether it's technology, geopolitics, awareness. Technology is a great leveler. Now with AI coming in, one has to empathize with this generation. And the challenge with the generation is now when you look at them as students or as employees in a company, they remain somewhat same. They are finding a meaning. They want to attach themselves to a cause. They want to know why are they doing a certain thing. Similarly, when they join the workforce, earlier the manager could say, just do ABC, don't ask me why, just do it and get back to me. Similarly, the teacher could say, here is the topic, learn it, and I will test you on it. I am not going to tell you why am I teaching you this. that whole approach in the last 10 years has radically shifted. Today, when I run the university, we keep telling our faculty, your role is as facilitators today. It cannot be a one-way communication. It cannot be that this is what is written in the book, go learn. Because they can Google right there and tell you 10 more things which are written in the book or which are above and beyond that. How do you facilitate discussions? How do you bring in meaning? Why are you learning a certain thing? Why is it important? And how would it help you? Because if you don't answer the why, they are not going to learn. So you have to look at your curriculum, you have to look at how you teach, whether it is flipped classroom, learn by doing, projects. You have to make that journey from academia to industry as smooth as possible. We see that very often when people who come through traditional methods of learning in higher education, the moment they join the workforce, they get a big shock of their lives. I've done an MBA, but I don't know anything about accounts. I'm not able to even understand the balance sheet. That was, when I was in college, that was considered very, okay, you've learned what you had to learn, now industry will teach you the real stuff. Today, neither does a learner have the patience, neither does the industry have the patience to teach you. So even industry is looking at people, somebody mentioned Elon Musk's comment, degrees are not important. Google made that statement 2-3 years ago. We are not interested in degrees, we are interested in the skills you bring to the table. Now that whole ecosystem is changing. Higher education per se, earlier it was you have a degree, whatever degree, MBA, BBA, BTech, not join industry. Today industry is saying, I want skills, I don't want a basic broad-based MBA or a broad-based BTech. Tell me what particular skill you are bringing on the table and how do you demonstrate that skill well enough. And that is when I look at, when we as the Hero Group, when we started a university, our whole approach was, how do you make learning more experiential? How do you make that transition seamless from academia to industry? How do you bring real life projects? Because if they spend those 3-4 years in college working on real projects, on real things, when they go to industry, it becomes that much more easier to them. And especially with Gen Z, it's very often when you give out offers, people don't join, or they'll join you and they'll leave within a month, and they'll leave for no reason. They leave in a month, in a couple of months, for no reason. Even the manager there is struggling. What do I do? How do I retain this talent? How do I get work out of these people? It's the same switch, when we speak about how faculty has to change, even managers in industry, they've got to be more open. They've got to look at, it cannot, earlier it used to be 9 to 6 job, 5 days a week or 6 days a week, you are here. Today, everybody wants flexibility. Earlier it was work-life balance. Today there's work-life convergence. You don't have to be in office 5 days a week, as long as the work is done. So companies which are adapting to this ecosystem are thriving. Companies which are sticking to the rigid method, when I was in college, I did my internship in Maruti. Maruti rule was, door shuts at 8 a.m. If you are late for 15 minutes, they'll give you half day absent. If you are late twice in a month, you're marked full day absent. Very rigid systems, which was the Japanese way of manufacturing. Now today you try and apply those systems in companies where you tell an employee, sorry, you are 1 minute late or 15 minutes late, I'll mark you absent. It doesn't work like that. Similar companies also have to adapt to this ecosystem, and the best way to adapt is by putting a cause, by understanding what is important. Are you interested in the process or the outcome? We've seen that very often when you tell somebody, listen, this is what I would like you to do, and this is why I want you to do this. Now you do it on your terms, whether you want to work all night and do it, you don't want to come to office, we are okay with that. It just makes it that much easier and flexible. So I think today we cannot force our views on them. It's better we adapt and say, how do we get the most? As whether it is as academia, how do we engage with them so that they learn better? Or as industry, how do we engage with our employees so that we get the maximum value or benefit? unfortunately in industry, you can't say, listen, I'll give you bad grades. You can't be in a perpetual hiring and firing cycle. So this is what is, how do you make the most of it? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think what you said was fantastic when you said you put the cause. It's amazing how the kids of today have an amazing enamorment, passion towards something phenomenal, and sometimes it's so unconnected to them, but they still get so connected. And it's interesting that these are timeless values, right? So even the freedom struggle was a cause, it was an end. And if you look at ancient tradition also, it was the same. I'm conscious of time. I'm going to take 2 questions now. I'll pause my question and I'll take something from the audience. Any quick comments, short questions that we will have somebody answer? Now, certainly this is a lovely quiet room.
I think
Just one gentleman, and 2, we'll take that quickly.
Yeah, but Shankar, I just wanted, Akshay, aapne bola na, we are struggling a lot. We all, seniors are struggling a lot. But I think if you see their perspective, if you talk to them, they say that we are struggling a lot with our professors. We are struggling a lot with the management like us. They have their rules and they don't listen to us. So actually they are struggling because we are not listening to them. So it should be that we have to listen to them and we have to come down to their level, that what they want. Actually what we want, we are saying. But what they want, we are not doing. So
not listening that.
Yeah, so if we do that and if we listen to them, 90% of the problems are solved. And I will give you one very small example before taking these examples and let her busy. So she will give 10 minutes more. So what we did was, the student came to us and we said that we want to now go for the APGs, right? And we want to create our curriculum for this session. Just make them a part of your making that curriculum. It should be co-created by them. Just ask them. Make them so important that yes, we are taking your advice also. They are so smart enough. And they know that my teacher doesn't know about this, so I can make fun of it. Actually, they know. And they are very clear and they are a great evaluator. We say that we are doing the evaluation, we are doing the summations and we are doing that, but no, they are doing for us. So it's a reverse model, and I think we have to listen to them. We have to make them a party to every activities which is in that system. You give them the responsibility that today it is your day, you will teach in the class. And this is a topic. I don't know. I have some doubts. I'm not very clear about it. And I did that. Actually, I did that. Now you will be amazed to know that that topic, and we have started, we have schools also. We started in school system, changed the game. So, we have started with system that one senior student, 4th class student will teach the 3rd class student, and it will be prepared by the student. It's so amazing that on that day, the students are so happy, and every day they wait for the day when their time will come, right? And they learn more in that method. So I think now time has come that you have to become a collaborator, collaborate with the students and try to listen to them. That is why those need of those toys are there, where they are having for emotional support those toys. Where are the parents? Where are the grandparents? Where are the professors? They are not coming to them. It's very, I think it's very painful for people like all of us sitting here. If we do the commitment today that we have to listen to them, please listen and collaborate. This world will change.
Thank you. The gentleman at the back, yeah. I think we can hear you if you can. Quick question, please. Quick question. Mic is coming to you, but you can speak. You can speak.
Change from a concept-based education to a innovation-based education. This is the need of the hour, as we are discussing about the Gen Z, right? So we need to move from that curricular to innovation-based curricular. As a nation, do we are still in ready position to adapt those things? That's the first question to you, sir.
Thank you. But we'll take the second question also. Do you want us? Okay, why don't you answer that and then we'll.
We did 2-3 steps. We made mentoring mandatory for every faculty member. We assign 10 to 15 students where they are responsible for their overall development. So if you look at the original concept of higher education, which Oxford, Princeton started from pastoral care. And the concept of pastoral care was this, that your master or faculty is responsible for overall well-being. And that's the same concept of Gurukul, where your guru was responsible not just for your learning the content, for emotional development, IQ, physical development. So in our university, we made it mandatory. Every faculty is assigned 10 to 15 students. They have to meet them once a fortnight and look at overall what they are doing, not just marks. Are you participating in clubs? Are you taking part in sports activities? Are you making friends? How well settled you are? And in that, we find we get to know so much about a student. You know, at times, if they could be doing very well in class, but struggling emotionally, or vice versa. So today, marks are not a reflection of anything. So in this method, we actually get to know where the student is.
Thank you. Thank you. For the other question, Professor Pratap will.
Yeah, so I think the curriculum aspect, you're right. We have to keep innovating on curriculum, and we continue to do that. And part of what you see in NEP is also that. I mean, there's a lot of, there's the whole idea of a multiple entry, multiple exit process in education really relates to this idea that young people want to try different things. You can't force fit them into something. And this really gives them the option that they enter something maybe, and they still have some value out of it. It's not like they entered, spent 1 year and got nothing out of it. They leave with some kind of a certificate which they can add to the next education that they are doing and so on. So a lot of innovation is going on, definitely in the education field, and it really addresses all of these requirements and also uses all the possibility that we have today. So this is what I would answer to your question. And also to add to, I think, your question that you asked, some of the things we have done in our campus is, certainly in our campus, because of the way the students enter, typically for the like 2 or 3 years before that, prior to that, they have just cut out all other activity. So they come in, and our curriculum previously would require them to hit the ground running, and they would do it. But we found that was generally not very good for their overall growth. So we have now reduced credits. Specifically in the first 2 semesters, we compel them to take less credits. We don't allow them to take more credits, even though they are very hungry to do so. We have a recreation course which forces them out of the room, and we have given them a long list of different things that they can do. They can learn Bharatanatyam, they can learn guitar, they can do yoga, they can play cricket, whatever. We're given a big list which they can select what they want. But mainly they have to get off the room, they have to be in a social setting which has got nothing to do with the formal education and experience life. We also have some life skills courses, primarily to deal with failure, to understand that everything you touch, you're not going to be the top. And particularly, I think the pressure that they feel from social media, because in social media, everything looks rosy. The person who puts it out, he has succeeded in everything. And so you go for an internship, you don't get, you feel like you're a complete failure because I didn't get, and so all these people are getting 1 crore internship, 5 lakh internship, whatever, and they're just completely off. So we try to get them to get more perspective. So these are a few things that we're trying to.
And adding to his point, what we can do is for your point that as they have started with the courses, so you do the courses which are not academically right. So they are doing that. It's okay. NEP is helping us a lot in that way that, for example, in our university, we started skill-verse programs. So these are the evenings at their own ease, they can do it. So when they are doing these programs, because we have a ABC system, Academic Bank of Credit, so they have a bank account now. So whatever they do in these activities, just make it a credit, right? So you just tell them that you are dancing, you are good in dance, you attended that. So this is 1 credit for you, and they will enjoy, and they will get the credit. So they will be having the minors, and I think that we started using it, and it's a great solace for them. That it's not that we are pressurized by the only academics, but along with it, we are if whatever we are doing, it's evaluated by them, and it's in my bank account. I can use wherever, whenever use, and that is why if you see the startups, they are from computer science and going for the startup which is in hospitality sector. And they are earning a lot. Some of my students of 188 startups are sitting in my incubation center. One of the students who are computer science, he has now 45 outlets in the country. But he is a computer science guy. But it was okay. Well, that was, so I think that we all are doing it, is giving fruits to us. And I think we all should start doing it, and I think everybody is doing it.
So what's certainly the student genome is staring at us, but what is staring at me is time's up in red for the last few minutes. But then we had permission of another 10 minutes, so we went on. But I want to close up by saying this time's up.
Self-styled permission.
This time's up also means, I think society, a generation might tell us if we want to be stuck with our ways that we think what is right and what happened, and we just have to remind ourselves what we told our parents and what we felt of our teachers. And you just remember that how much has happened from then to now. Time has come for that to change. And if India has to lead, India has to go to Viksit Bharat, India has to be at 47, it's not us but it's them. If you empower them, and that shall happen. And for us to learn, it is not to accept everything that we want. Let's not take all the fringe examples on social media of what is wrong with them, but let's all look at the phenomenal things of what they can do. And I think together we have to collaborate, maybe sometimes monitor and mentor, but most times empower a generation has a genome which is very different. This is the strength, one-time opportunity for India. And I think all of us are, we are all curious. Some of us are anxious, some of us are worried, but all of us are excited, because if you want a tomorrow job, that's the generation you have to work with. If you start talking to them, our jobs are in question. Either you can do it out of desperation or an aspiration, but I think this panel talks about aspiration, and I want to close with that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.